Hi everyone, the Random Home Cook here. Today I will show how I make a chicken stock I normally use for Arabic recipes like maklube, but it could be used for many preparations. This is the level 10 of the ranking video posted recently. But let's begin. As primary ingredient we need one or more chickens. I portion it because it is easier to toast the pieces in the pan and increase the surface, adding more flavor to the meat. One chopped onion, not too finely. Salt and pepper, a good amount, to taste. I will try to provide an indication that works for me in the description. Cardamom pods and spices. In Arabic countries, as well as everywhere now, you might find a spice blend for meats or specific for maklube Arabic stock. However, I make my own using nutmeg, allspices, coriander, cumin, and a piece of bay leaf and ginger. Hidden among the onions, there is also a clove of garlic. And the last ingredient, extra virgin olive oil. I start with the sofritto using the oil and the onion and a pinch of salt, tossing it around to avoid burning the onion. This stock is better to be slightly saltier than not. Once the onion turns golden, I add the chicken. And if I have them, some offal like neck, gizzard, heart. I tend to avoid the chicken breast because it dries out quite quickly, but it works fine for the stock. I toss around the chicken pieces around the pot. After a little while, I add garlic, cardamom pods, which I'm very careful not to break. I personally do not like to find the small seeds, they are very strong flavored, but it is a personal preference. Then bay leaf and all the spices, and then pepper. Thanks to all these ingredients, this stock is quite spiced, packed of flavors. For this reason, I avoid using this for my homemade stuffed pasta, because it would cover completely the taste. After all is well mixed, I add the salt. This is a key moment in which the onion or spices could burn and the chicken could stick to the pot. It is important to keep moving it around, reaching on the bottom with a spoon, and if done correctly, it will fatigue the wrist. Despite all this, it will stick. And a small amount of sticking is actually good to provide flavor. And what I aim for is an even browning of the meat. By adding boiling water, I will deglaze the pot. This works if, of course, I didn't go too far and the sticking is more than a little. All this process takes about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on the hob and how cold and moist is the meat, and other factors. The chicken could release some liquids. Fat is okay, but water liquids need to go if I want the right color on the meat. Once I see the sticking is becoming unmanageable, the onion is about to burn, and the chicken has a nice color, I add boiling water. A little at first to deglaze the pot, and more as I need until the pot is full. The use of boiling water instead of cold is because I want the meat to retain good taste and consistency. In my case, the cooking time will be about an hour, because the chicken will cook again in the maklube. Otherwise, I would cook it for longer, like 1.5 to 2 hours. time is related to the quality of the chicken. Better quality chicken with well-worked muscle takes longer to tenderize. For the chicken I have, 1 to 1 hour and a half is okay. Now, with the lid on, I wait patiently until it gets close to boil. At this point, you can see that a layer of fat is formed. This is the oil and the chicken's fat floating on the top. Depending on the meat, at the end of the preparation, this is substantial. So I consider a key to take care of this problem. A problem for me at least. I'm very careful with the fat content management in many of my dishes. I cook with the natural meat fats and add abundant oil, butter or other fats as needed, because those give a lot of flavor during cooking. However, I'd rather not eat all of it once they have done their job. Not only for an healthier meal, but also for the overall eating experience. Too much fat reduces the appetite, or at least that's what happens to me. Can create an unwanted patina in the mouth, be harder to digest, and give that kind of cooked oil aftertaste, which might not be a big deal, but it is a big deal for me. Okay, I might be just too sensitive. Anyhow, I want to reduce the fat content. For liquid-based food, I have 2 options. Prepare the stock in advance and put it in the fridge when cold, or use a fat separator. I prefer the second option. Doing this is for me the difference between a very good dish to excellent. I'm left with all the good flavors, but the reduced fat allows for a more pleasant experience, or at least this is my personal opinion. However, I do not go mental on this, and a few bits or drops of fat are absolutely fine. When some foam forms, I remove it, being careful not to waste any of the floating onion or spices. Then I lower the heat to a gentle simmer until 1 hour or so is passed and the chicken is tender and fully cooked. Once cooked, I remove the meat from the broth, otherwise it will keep cooking and become shapeless and tasteless. The meat can be eaten now or, as in my case, used for other preparations. If you like this video and you would like to see more, please consider clicking subscribe and press the bell notification icon. See you next time.